Hi everyone, welcome to the video. Before I start the readings, I want to let you know that I do have some new online courses available on how to read oracle cards and crystals and spirituality, so click on the link below to check them out. Hi Cancer, it's Sloan Rhodes here with your Love and Romance reading for the months of May, June, and July 2018. Cancer, just to remind you of the format, so I'm going to do the same love readings that I did in 2017. The format is I'll do a 3-month longer read, and then I'll do a bonus read, a short read in June and July, another longer read for August, September, and October, and for November, December, and then short reads every month here on out. So you can look forward to that. I am doing the life purpose and career readings as well, so you can check those out. And thank you, Cancer, for bearing with me. I know many of you were asking if I was going to continue with these readings, and I just needed to take a break to get the online courses up, as well as recharge my batteries. But I am going to continue them for the rest of 2018, so I hope that you enjoy them. All right, let's go ahead and get started. This is for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising, Love and Romance for May, June, and July 2018. Cancer, I'm going to get one card from the astrology reading deck as the overarching theme, and then 3 cards from the Witch's Tarot, and then for your physical and sexual intimacy, I'll get 3 cards from the Sensual Wicca Tarot and 1 card from the numerology deck. But let's just go ahead and get started, Cancer. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Love and Romance, May, June, and July 2018. Okay, here we go. All right, let's see. Jupiter. Oh, beautiful, expansive energy for you, Cancer. Very big energy around love for you. Very beneficent, usually. Your confidence, courage, self-belief, and luck is associated with the planet Jupiter. Maybe that you have to take a leap of faith as well in love, but let's get some additional cards. Usually with Jupiter, you're very supported. And so even if things don't seemingly work out in your favor, they are long-term in your favor. You know, he's taken this free fall into love, right? As I feel it for you. And he's pretty high in terms of being up, you know, before he hits the ground. So it's like, it's a long journey. So even if the benefits aren't felt immediately, you can know that you are supported. So Love and Romance, May, June, and July. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Based on the Jupiter energy, what are the messages? All right, here we go. All right, so we have the High Priest in reverse. We have the 2 of Wands right in the center, very nice. We have the Fool card in reverse. And we have the Sun under the deck in the reverse. Still beautiful energy even when it's in the reverse. Okay, let's take these energies in. We have 3 major arcana cards. As I mentioned, the Jupiter energy is very big energy. We're looking at sort of a longer term kind of expansion. All right, so let me show you the cards as I see them. Cancer, we have the High Priest in reverse. We have that 2 of Wands right in the center, beautiful card. And we have the Fool card in reverse. Again, a leap of faith, but sometimes recklessly, and sometimes a leap of faith because we are feeling a little desperate. So we're going to get some additional cards, but it's a little bit of a cautionary note there. All right, so we have the High Priest energy in the reverse. Let's just talk about this first. We have, it's, you know, a card of institutions, institutions of marriage, institutions of learning, bureaucracy, but we have it in the reverse. So this is really interesting energy for you because it is in the reverse. So it does look like you are kind of bucking the system in some ways. For some of you, it may be that the institution of marriage is like, not into it. For some of you, It's that you are deciding to do something different than the way that you were raised, right? You're doing something that is out of the norm of what is expected of you, either within your social group, your family group, society, this kind of thing. So it's kind of fun. I like to see that for you. It's definitely something different. It could be an opportunity to connect with someone who is just has a very different sort of value system than you, and pushes you to consider other points of view, which is really nice. And with that Jupiter energy, it is about expansion, expanding out of your little circle, right? Expanding into the all. Really interesting. Now we also have the Two of Wands right in the center. I love this for you, Cancer. It is about agreements, connecting with another, and choosing to move forward. And I feel like these two are really connected. So despite the differences, you are agreeing to do something that is not what would be typically done, typically expected of you. I want to say for some of you, it may be a trip to the Grand Canyon. I just feel like that. Yeah, and then the Fool, again, this idea of travel, but traveling in a way that it may be spur of the moment, it may be spontaneous, but just be aware that if you choose, if you have an agreement, you know, I'm drawn to, I don't know if you can see, but there is the globe here, this idea of communicating, doing things differently, and sometimes you can feel a lot of pressure when you are making choices that are different than what people expect of you. You can feel a lot of pressure, you know, from either their perceived disapproval or their active disapproval or disappointment even, or just anger. Sometimes it can create a feeling of, oh, I got to get out of here, you know, so just be aware of that, that if, you know, if you're doing something out of desperation in order to feel free of institutional confinement, whether it be, you know, schools, you know, work, government, bureaucracies, family expectations, religious expectations, do so consciously as best you can. Now, for some of you, it may be that you decide you have an agreement to, like, you know, marriage, again, is not for you, and you know, kind of choose to elope to get away from the family disapproval. This is for a very small segment of you. That is to be, if you choose to do that, do it consciously about what you're doing, because it does look like that would be more of an act of kind of desperation. And so again, that's a cautionary note there. We do have the Sun card in reverse, which is beautiful energy under the deck. It is about the joyful nature of connections, and that if you are going to connect with people in love during this time frame, Cancer, it would be centered around possibly children, or just having a more fun activities, doing things that are out of the institutional norm. There's more of a childlike nature to this. I'm going to get some additional cards. What is this Fool about for Cancer? I'm going to include the Two of Wands and the High Priest together and the Fool separate. All right, let me do the High Priest and the Two of Wands together because they seem very connected. What is that about for Cancer? Again, it could be that you are choosing to partner with someone or date someone even who's just has a very different religious background to you. And you're both aware of it, but you're like okay with it. or that you are agreeing to do something that's, you know, just different. You're dating someone who's, it would be an unorthodox connection in some way. I mean, maybe you got, you know, maybe you're the first one to live with someone outside of marriage. You know, if you come from a very, you know, religious background, that would be something that would be unorthodox and different. So what is this about for Cancer, and how is it likely to affect Cancer? Okay. The Nine of Wands and the Six of Pentacles in the reverse, and the Three of Wands in the reverse. All right, so again, there's some kind of agreement around something that's a bit unorthodox. Again, this could represent marriage, and the two of you are kind of like, you know what, this marriage is not gonna work for us. We're just not up for it. But it doesn't have to be marriage, but it is the institution of marriage. For some of you, I mean, it's a general reading. But it is about protecting what you've built. Even if you decide to agree not to do this, like if it's marriage or something, you agree not to do it, you have to be aware of what you have already built around this. You can't agree to something unorthodox if you don't know who you are. And this card for me, for you right now, Cancer, shows me that you know who you are and you're willing to take steps to protect what you have built in your life. It doesn't mean that you can't change and do something that's a little less traditional. But in order to do something that's non-traditional, you have to understand the traditions with which you are raised and what you're willing to shift away from. So it's not this blind, I'm not going to do that, you know. When you understand who you are and what the traditions that you, and paradigms and religious teachings and learnings and institutional patterns that you have ingrained within you, when you understand them, it makes it easier for you to defend the parts of it that work for you and the parts of it that don't. You don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And how it affects you is the Six of Pentacles in the reverse. So with the Six of Pentacles in the reverse, just make sure that what you are agreeing to is what you want, because it has a likelihood to be around for a little bit of time here. We have Major Arcana energy, we have this Pentacles energy, and you don't want to just give without understanding what you get back. Again, it speaks to this idea of trying to be free without really knowing what you're doing. So with the Six of Pentacles, again, it's a little bit of a cautionary tale here. Make sure that what you give, you get back. You know, you want to defend what you have. You don't want to give to the wrong cause or the wrong person. You want to make sure that what you're doing is done so with some thought. Because the Jupiter energy is very big energy and very heady energy, and you might be like, yes, I'm just going to take this leap of faith. You know, the Fool, but you know, the Fool card is in reverse here, so you don't want to just take it without a little bit of thought ahead of time. This speaks to single Cancers and coupled Cancers. Let me get some additional cards on this Fool in reverse. What is this about for Cancer? Okay, I want to say too, Cancer, that for some of you, because we have this cautionary note, make sure that you're not being pulled into something that's unorthodox in that you are doing something like extramarital affair type of energy, because it wouldn't be an equal exchange. Okay, I mean, of course, you always have free will and do what feels right and true for you. But if any of you are engaging in that, there's some issues around it that I don't think you would get what you're really thinking you're going to get from it. Now, around the Fool card, taking this leap of faith kind of recklessly, let's say, it's about the King of Pentacles. So there may be an earth sign involved here. Would be a Taurus, Capricorn, or Virgo. And if it's not an individual, if it's not an earth sign, it'd be someone who's really stable, slower moving energy, someone who has a lot of financial resources available to them. It could be you embodying this. And there's this energy of risking that, either that individual or the energy around that. But interestingly enough, the likely outcome of it is the Magician. So you do learn from this experience. Again, as I mentioned, the Jupiter energy, it doesn't always seem like it's going to work out, but then it does. Again, there's kind of a long fall in which you can regain your balance. Like if you were to fall from a great height, you have more time to move your body into a position where you can land. Like if you imagine a cat landing on all fours, the longer time it has in the air, it can position itself nicely to land softly. And it's kind of like you. So even though this Fool energy, as I mentioned, is kind of problematic, a little bit risky, I think it does cement you in some ways and helps you learn about yourself and what the resources you have within as well as externally in your world. And it does lead to you having a greater sense of self-confidence and recognizing that you actually have a lot of things to offer in love. It's almost like there's like a split here. And we also have the Three of Swords in the reverse here around that Fool card in reverse. Be aware, Cancer, that there is hurt involved here in some way, but you don't want to deny it, cover it up, pretend that everything's okay. As best you can, as often as you can. And Cancers are usually really good about this. You speak out and you say what's on your mind, because any kind of whitewashing, any kind of pretending like this is okay, it's not, especially around this whole situation over here. If you are bucking the system in some way, either just by yourself or you're agreeing to do so with another person, there is, like I said, sometimes there's heartache around that. You have to speak to it. Again, the more that you know what you are willing to do and not willing to do based on who you are, you're more likely to make the right choices about what you're protecting and what you're not protecting, what you're willing to let go and what you're willing to hold on to. Again, this is about this idea of, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You want to hold those values close to you that you appreciate, those traditions that you were raised with, even, or what you've learned from institutional environments. Protect the ones that make sense for you, because otherwise it may be that there is this, you're giving more than you're receiving here. Again, it's kind of a split. Really interesting reading. I hope it's making sense for you. I'm going long on this. Let me move on to the physical and sexual intimacy. Bottom line here, everything's going to work out fine. Just don't pretend that things are okay when they're not. With the Jupiter energy, there's a long way, a long learning curve here. It's not super steep. I remember I'll do another love reading in June for what you meant to do, not doing what you can look forward to regardless. So it'll give you a bit more insight. Try during these 3 months to take the long view. Don't, try not to get too caught up in the day-to-day. That Jupiter energy, again, you're like you're on top of the mountain, you're looking down. So you have a lot of perspective and a lot of support. in the long term. Okay, so regarding physical and sexual intimacy for Cancer, what are we looking at here? I can't remember if I said this already, Cancer, but remember that these readings and the spiritual guidance videos that I release every Sunday, those readings are also they're all available on the podcast on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. So you can listen to the readings as well as watch them here on the YouTube channel. So I hope that that's helpful to you. Okay. All right. Physical and sexual intimacy for Cancer, May, June, and July. All right, we have the Sage of Wands, King of Wands. We have the Sun card in reverse. I think this came up already for you. And we have the Maiden of Cups in reverse. And we have the Ten of Wands in reverse. I'll show you the cards as I see them, Cancer. We have the Sage of Wands, could be a Leo individual involved. We did have the Sun card earlier. And again here in the center of this reading. And then we have that Page of Cups in reverse. And the Ten of Wands in the reverse under the deck. Well, it looks like in terms of your physical and sexual intimacy, there's quite a bit of passion and drive here. It could be that there is a Leo individual involved because of the Sun card, but it could also be an Aries or a Sagittarius, or just that feeling of being very, very inspired, passionate, wanting to make love in a very kind of gregarious kind of way. Also with that Sun card in reverse. But with the Maiden of Cups, it's a bit of not completely sincere, and you may even attract a lover during this time period who's be careful with who you sleep with during this time period, because with the Maiden of Cups in reverse, Cancer, there's kind of that stalker energy where they just kind of keep coming at you. And it's like too much attention, and the attention that's sometimes unwanted and too much too soon kind of thing. So just be aware of that. We have the Ten of Wands in reverse. Could be that someone does come back in who has been going through a difficult time, or it could just be that in this time period in the bedroom that making love does help you unburden some of your worries here. But I think the most important thing here in terms of your physical and sexual partnership is sincerity. Be sincere and clear, because with that Maiden of Cups in reverse, we do have this energy of someone who's just a bit too needy, graspy, a little stalkerish sometimes, and unwanted attention. So be honest so that people get if you're sleeping with someone and you don't really have any intention of having it be long term, we do have that this sort of unorthodox situation here. Be really clear and make sure that you're taking care of yourself in that way too. And it doesn't have to be that there's necessarily that it has to be the stalkerish for some of you. It could just be that there's a little insincerity there, or insecurities even, and your partner may be a little needier than usual. I'm going to get one more card for you, Cancer, and then close out your reading. But there could be a lot of exuberance as well in terms of your physical intimacy with that Sun card in reverse and that Sage of Wands. A lot of passion, fun, just kind of wild energy there. Environment. So regarding your physical and sexual intimacy, we do have 2 4s. This idea of something stable. It goes back to this idea of the Nine of Wands, like protecting what you have, knowing what's yours, and knowing that what you're willing to risk and what you're willing not to risk. 2 4s angelic energy, of course, but also something very stable. And your environment that you find yourself in terms of the vulnerability of physical and sexual intimacy is really important. So this is why, I say there's a cautionary note here. Make sure that you are being completely open and honest, so the environment, even if it's wild and passionate, has that baseline of honesty. That's what will be sustainable. That's what will help in the long term. You're wanting to build an environment of passion, yes, but also an environment where your heart is protected through the openness and the honesty. Don't pretend during this time period, Cancer. We're looking at the long term here. It's the long game. It's a strategy. It's a time of great expansion. So you're looking to build something that's longer lasting. And the way that you do that is through the openness, the honesty, because you don't want this pretending that everything is cool when it's not. All right, so I hope you find that helpful, Cancer. Kind of an interesting reading. Check back in June for the shorter reading and see what you can see if that's helpful for you as well. And of course, you're always welcome to get your private reading if you need additional guidance. All right, I wish you much love, Cancer, and I'll see you either at the Life Purpose and Career readings as well, or over on the podcast, or maybe over at the online store. Till next time.